if you didn't know you'd reached Ponca City, this would be a pretty good sign you were getting close to Draggin Grand. As often happens when driving through areas I don't know well, I really found an appreciation of how beautiful the area was. They obviously have nice homes, but also just a very pleasing landscape overall.
Pretty much completely by chance, my buddies just happened to pull into here. You could either eat here or you could get on over to, you know, that chain place there. And we made the right call, that's for sure. Stop in here next time you're in Ponca City.
5 days before I was set to leave for Ponca City, I learned my fuel pump had failed me. This is not a part you run down to your local auto parts store to replace. Realistically, none of the parts on my car are. Amazingly, I was able to get a replacement pump, which I installed 2 days before. However, this wasn't even the problem I was trying to solve. The very next day, I decided my starter motor was to blame, and fortunately, I had recently purchased an original Bosch for just such an occasion. Mind you, I hadn't tested it yet, and the condition was unknown. Fortunately, it did permit me to leave the very next day with confidence in my little car. With bellies full of ribs and brisket, there was no time to waste. We had to hit Grand Avenue. The starter relay fuse I'd installed well over 2 years ago popped, but fortunately a tractor store was next to Danny's barbecue, so we barely skipped a beat. I did struggle to produce proof of auto insurance, but it all worked out in the end. Why do my friends and I get so excited about this event? Why do I hesitate to call it a show rather than an event? Well, I tend to think of a show as a place where the cars, with minor exception, are stationary. Anyway, hopefully you already have an idea of why this show is so much fun. People line the streets watching the cars go by, having fun, eating cotton candy, cheering, jeering. Last year, my buddy Aaron had his wagon out here, and his very favorite moment was when some kid stepped off the curb, threw up a big thumbs down, and declared, "That's bad." For those who watch my channel exclusively for the Volkswagens, this won't be the only one. As you can probably already tell, the range of cars represented is beyond that of mostly any show you're likely to find anywhere else. We counted 3 Mach 1s. There were at least 3 or 4 classic Corvettes. Brass era, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s and beyond. In one moment, you're hearing that beautiful, low, loping sound of a big block, and in the next, you're hearing a horn from the 30s. Now, I'm certain that I'm not alone here, but when I was younger, we actually did do a thing that we called cruising. In our case, we actually had more of a circular section of road. And if I'm being entirely honest, the primary objective of cruising for us was to see if we could find any girls that might be interested. One of the other participants rolled up next to me, asking about the notchback. There are a lot of cool cars here, and many of them are easily identified by most, but rarely do people know what I drive. For those who kind of know Volkswagens, I tend to hear Carmen Ghia, which is a good guess. Often people vaguely remember seeing other Type 3s, just never a notchback. Growing up in a place thick with Volkswagens, I can't honestly say I ever saw a notchback just driving down the street. It was pretty uncommon to see squarebacks and fastbacks for that matter. Yes, these are 3 cars with parachutes attached. I got a good look inside of one of them last year, and it appears to warrant the need of a parachute. I got to talk to the owner of these 2 Type 2s. Cool guy. And these aren't his only VWs. My kind of guy. I'm hoping I convinced him to make it to next year's Port City show. Now, I'm not trying to say that you would have seen this many great cars this close together on any given day, but when I was a kid, it wasn't uncommon to see pretty much any of these vehicles, with a few exceptions, just driving around town. And it occurs to me that a lot of young people would never have seen any of these cars just driving around town in their youth. And for older guys like me, or even older, it's a chance to relive a time that is very special to us. See, this is the kind of thing that really makes my day here. Notice how these kids suddenly realize my car is coming, turn around, and at the very end, a little wave. Absolutely love this. This kid says rev it, and after chuckling, I obliged. Could you hear that subtle difference in the ambient sound outside? Now, there are a lot of great Corvettes across history. This one always gets me.
Oh my goodness, look at that thing. That's ridiculous.
If you're not familiar, here is a Myers-Manx, which is a shell meant to fit on generally a Type 1 or Beetle chassis. However, you'll also see them on Porsches. Chip Foose has recently been building 2 of them, so look up his videos if you'd like to see more on them. I may have forgotten to mention, but I just can't get enough of this double cab. While the number of cars diminish, the night brings a completely unique feel to the event. Last time we were here, I didn't have the lights strung between the poles, and it really adds something. Some of the businesses have their own lighting and signs, which really stands out at night too. I feel like we disturbed or maybe just thoroughly confused this young couple as we pulled over so my buddy could get out and throw something away. Maybe they were just a bit weary from a full evening. Pretty impressive burnout to be certain. And that's it, right? Show's over? Hey, do me a favor, okay? Hit the like button, consider subscribing. It really does help. Very inconsiderate of my near-perfect paint job, if you ask me. At this point in the evening, this end of Grand just became Burnout City. We stopped to watch the finale. A bit like the end of a great 4th of July fireworks demonstration.
right as the cops come by. That's good.
As the night wears on, it's as the old saying goes, all good things must come to an end. That said, when the morning comes, I'll be heading out to a really great Volkswagen show in Port City. Somehow, I managed to not film it, but after this little stunt, he let out the sidecar passenger, looped back, and really showed off the balancing act.